We're back, people. What is up? Another stream going over the Miami Dolphins and the 2026 NFL Draft. Just have a nice discussion. Leave any questions you got. I think, on like a general level, I wanted to talk about some players just that I think Miami will like based on scheme that they're running and also kind of based on the ideas I get of what John Eric Sullivan liked coming from Green Bay. Guys that I think that they'll be more so fans of, not necessarily like I have to be fans of them. Some of them I am, some of them I'm not as much, but want to talk about that. Talk about certain position groups that I think are pretty strong, especially like been watching a lot of safety recently. I think the safety group is like really good. Like it's one of the better safety groups in a while, which I think is huge. And I've talked a lot about like Caleb Downs. I do think Caleb Downs is like the crown jewel option for Miami in round one. Like he's like my favorite option to if he ends up falling there. But if he doesn't fall there, like it's not the end of the world. Like I think you can still find pretty good safeties on day two, and even so, like I think the class is deep enough where like you in early day three, I still feel like you can find some guys that can be early contributors, which is always nice. So safety's pretty good. Same with linebacker. So we'll talk about some of those guys specifically. I also wanted to talk about Malik Willis a little bit because I feel like that has been a topic of discussion. I still don't think they'll necessarily go after him, but I think they would be kind of foolish not to heavily consider it. So I wanted to talk about that as well. But yeah, what's up, guys? Gran, Brian, SF Sports Fan, how you guys doing? Just chilling, vibing. Because one thing I did see on Twitter from because what the talk about the Malik Willis thing was Chris Kaufman, CK Parrott. He was talking about the cap situation in Malik Willis, and like, yes, the cap situation is not great in 2026. Like, it's pretty bad, but after 2026, they actually are going to need more players to pay because realistically, you look at the roster and like the contracts coming up in 2027 and like 2028. There's not that many. Like, they're going to have a lot of cap space and like cash to work with, and they don't have that many players to pay. So like if they realistically wanted to sign him Malik Willis, you can actually like have a low like cap hit in his first year and then push money back into 2027. Like it's very easy to do. That's why like I don't think the cap thing is enough of a reason to not go after Malik Willis. And for me, the reason I'm like, yeah, I would do it for sure because I think it's very hard to find quarterbacks. And I understand the process of just being like, okay, just play Quinn Ewers, see what happens. He works out, he works out. If he doesn't, then you get a high draft pick. But that still doesn't mean you get a guaranteed quarterback. Like you could still go round and round. So for me, it's like if you have a chance at a good quarterback in free agency, which is very rare, it's very rare to find a quarterback that has the potential of being good. Because when Malik Willis has played, I know it's a small sample size, but to me, it's enough of a sample size. And how well he played in like those, it was like a total of like he ended up playing like 8 or 9 games, but I would say it's like a total of about 5 with like snap count. He played like at a really high level. Like film wise, the analytics back it up. If you look at like his analytics, it's like off the charts how well he was playing. And I'm sure like those would fall a little bit with a higher sample size. But to me, you're running a similar scheme. You need to take as many shots at quarterback as possible. So like even if it didn't work out, I don't think even if it didn't work out, I don't think it'd be like something that would completely hold you back from turning things around, That's why like I'm like under the assumption of like you can do it, but even if it didn't work out, you still have the opportunity to go in a different direction pretty quickly, I think, depending on how they structure things. Let's see what you guys are saying. Ryder 2, Caleb Downs, that only generational talent. I don't know if there's any like generational, because I think the term generational means like literally like they're the top in their generation of players. So like in the past like 10 years, they're like the top guy. So I don't know if there's any generational players. Those are very rare. But to me, like if I had to guess, if I had to put money on a guy in this class that would end up in the Hall of Fame, like I'm not saying he will, but if I had to put money on one of them, it would be Caleb Downs. I think he's like that special from a like I think he's so smart. Like watching him play football, I'm like, oh, he's just ahead of the game. Like, and I love players like that. And he's also athletic. I think he fits the modern NFL perfectly with like having safeties play a lot of slot. Scott from Miami, a corner or safety? I would say he's like a nickel. more of a nickel back. It's probably where he's at his best. Tua better not be on the team next year. I don't think he will be. I mean, it seems like it seems like the insiders are more confident about him getting traded than I expected. So if you can get him traded, that's good. Like, you're still going to have to pay a majority of the salary, but if you cut him, you're going to have to pay it all anyway. So, like, if you can trade him, probably not going to get much pick-wise, but that's fine. But you can get them to take a little bit of cash off your hand. Like, that's helpful. At least get something out of it, Talking about Malik Willis. Yeah, I was talking about Malik early on. Chambliss or Aller mid-round. I would take Aller late. Chambliss in the mid, I could get behind. No to Willis, he played okay in my opinion. He got away from quite a few that could have been intercepted. That's not that accurate. I heavily disagree. I think his accuracy was off the charts. I think accuracy and decision making were like way better than I would have expected. Like, he didn't really make mistakes. I don't remember very many interceptable passes watching, to be honest. So I definitely disagree with that. I think he played at a very high level. And not only was he like completing a ton of passes, like his air yard, like his passes were a lot, like pretty high. Like, he had a high air yard percentage. So it wasn't like he was just taking easy completions. He was taking passes down the field and having a high completion percentage. It was very impressive. And it is a small sample size, but I mean, he played at a super high level in my opinion. Lots of tier 2, 3 nickel safeties this year. Yeah, I definitely want to talk about safeties because like I love Caleb Downs. Would be my top guy to take at 11. But if you miss out on him, I think you have a lot of options in this class at safeties. Some that can play nickel. There's the free safeties, which I do think Miami will be interested in the single high free safety guys. Because if you look at Hafley's system, he does like to play single high, and he likes to he gave McKinley. They brought in Xavier McKinney, and he had like a really big year, especially playing as a single high guy. And I think with like right now you have Minka and Trader on the roster, so whether Minka stays or not, I feel like Minka can play single high, but I think you want to use him more around the line of scrimmage as a nickel. I feel like that's just where he's at his best. So I think there's some single high guys in this class that they could like a Genesis Smith from Arizona. He's more of a single high guy, and he's got like a really good athletic and physical profile. Needs to work on his open field tackling. There's also Bud Clark from TCU. A little bit of an older prospect, but single high, lots of on-ball production. Then there's some like middle round guys like Jalen Husky. I also could see guys like Zakee Wheatley, single high. People I could see them liking. But yeah, there's also those potential like bigger nickels, like Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, I think could play some big nickel. VJ Payne from Kansas State. He's kind of the poor man Emanwari of this class. Like, he's not the level of Emanwari, but he's kind of that sort of middle round Emanwari type of player. He's got that build. I think he's plays better near the line of scrimmage as well. Like, I feel like if he's going to have his best play in his career, it will probably be playing as like a big nickel. I feel like if they use him as like a true safety, it would kind of take away from some of his play. Kamari Ramsey from USC, he can play some nickel. Lots of guys like that in the class. What about Trubisky as a bridge QB? To me, like, the reason I like Willis, because I actually think Willis can be more than a bridge quarterback. Like, out of the free agents, like, everyone's going to be a bridge quarterback. To me, Willis is the only one that has the possibility of being more than a bridge quarterback. That's why I'm all about Willis. To me, if you're going to go for a bridge quarterback, I'm fine signing someone for super cheap, but I'd rather just play Ewers at that point and let Ewers be the bridge and see if he, you're sure going to have to sign someone. So I would just sign someone that's super cheap. But yeah, just literally probably would just play Ewers at that point. Yeah, I would recommend checking out Willis again because literally, I don't even like. I'm sure there was interceptable passes on film, but like, I don't even remember any off the top of my head, which means it's at least pretty small. Reason channel were high on Styles. Arbor Reese, who I heard might fall. Caleb Downs also heard trade down for the Penn State guard. Yeah, I mean, the Ohio State guys, like Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles, in my opinion, are both top 5 players in this class. So if you get one of them at 11, I'm obviously going to be super happy with that. I know they're not premium position but I don't really care, especially at 11 at this point. And when you look at this class, Will Levis, honestly, Will Levis is an intriguing option to me if he's cheap. Like if you, I think he's not a free agent, right? I think he's like if you got like a late trade for him and the Titans, like he's not a bad dart throw option because I think he's young and has some talent. Do you think you could develop him? Like he actually showed some stuff. Like he's obviously far from a sure thing because he has some ugly film too. But like those are the types of dart throws I would be taking out there. Go after Spencer Rattler, Will Levis, the young guys who have at least shown something on film. I'd rather not go after any like older veterans that are just getting you already know exactly what you're going to get from them, and I'd rather just play the young guys. Tight end. I mean, tight end was a lot better last year. There's some decent day 3 options, but I don't think it has as many high end options as last year at tight end. I like some tight ends for sure, but hopefully re-sign Greg Dulcich. Shrine Bowl safety, Lewis Moore. Yeah, some good Shrine Bowl guys. How badly do we actually need CB? If we bring back Jack Jones, we would be getting back Juju, Duck, and Kohu from injury, plus our 2 rookies now second year. Well, Kohu would have to be re-signed. I wouldn't expect I'm not gonna try to rely on Duck and Brents coming off of injury. Like I think Duck and Brents could still potentially be on the team, but I don't think those are reliable guys. I also don't think Jack Jones is necessarily I think you're in a position where corner's a huge need, even if all those guys are back. Because if you look at that and you look at them, you're not looking at a single one of them as starters and thinking oh, we got a quality good starter. Like Kohu would be the best of the bunch, and he would be at a solid level. Like he's proven he can be solid. But other than that, corner would be one of your weakest positions. You would not have a stud. Jack Jones is very inconsistent. He has some very high end moments, but also has some very low end moments. So he's not a guy I would trust a ton, but you might be forced just with where you're at corner. I think corner is a very big need. And I like the corner class. I think the corner class is pretty good. I think the secondary in general in this class is quite strong. So I would like to definitely, hopefully get a corner at some point, even if you re-signed everyone. Even bringing back Douglas or Jack Jones. Hater's gone, Douglas gone, Jones gone. Are you saying they're free agents, or you think they're just gone? Because I don't think they'll. Jones is a good CB2, yes. I don't know if I would say good. From a value standpoint, if he's cheap, I don't mind having him here. But I think you would probably prefer, in an ideal situation, not to have him be a starter. First, who are your top 5 linebackers? Okay. Let's look at this. I would still have both Ohio State guys at the top. Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese. Then who would I have third? I feel like I'm missing names on my list. Let me just pull up another prospects ranking because I don't have them ranked yet. I haven't done any actual rankings, but I would have the Ohio State guys, I think, at the top. I have that video. Here's my problem is the next 2 who are typically ranked as the 3rd and 4th guys are CJ Allen and Anthony Hill Jr. And I'm a little bit lower on both of them than I think most people within this class. I feel like for me, I'm probably gonna have Trotter as linebacker 3, the Missouri guy. I think he's better than those players. I low-key even like Kyle Lewis and Jacob Rodriguez more than those guys. I'm just a little bit lower. I don't think they're bad prospects, but I feel like those guys are getting mocked in late first, early second. I see them more as 3rd round guys. I would put them in the same tier as Jake Golday from why am I forgetting where he's played? Let me look it up. Cincinnati, yeah. But that's sort of those are probably all the top guys, but after the top 3, I feel like it could be kind of moved around a little bit for me. I would probably put Rodriguez above Allen and Hill. Um, yep, love me some Chris Johnson. Styles or McCoy is my pick at 11. I could get behind that. The new coaches will want their own players. I mean, yeah, but it's I don't disagree, but like they're gonna have to re-sign some people. Like they literally have to. They have no one at the positions. They're not just gonna let every single player go. Would you rather resign Jack Jones or Rasul Douglas? I don't know. I don't really have a preference. Honestly, he's ever cheaper. Rasul is better, but he's older. Rasul also does have experience with some of this staff with his time in Green Bay. Jack Jones is younger, would probably end up being cheaper if I had to guess, but he's a little more volatile in terms of up and down play. Signed Tariq Woolen. Yeah, Tariq, he's also kind of a basket case. Imagine if your corners were Tariq Woolen and Jack Jones are also going to make some dumb plays. But Tariq's not bad. I think he got a little overrated after his rookie year because he's never quite played to that level again. But Traden Stukes, yeah, I'm a big Traden Stukes guy. They are not gonna improve in players like they're letting go of Tua. Everyone else is gone. I mean, I don't really see it like that. I mean, pretty much anyone from the Packers is a potential fit. Like they have a lot of free agents. I wouldn't be surprised if they at least try to get some of them over there, but I don't think they're gonna go for like the big names. Like I wouldn't overpay for a guy like Quay Walker. Don't think what you would do, think what they would do. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm doing. You have to think what they are thinking. And what they are thinking is like, we do not have players on the roster. We do not have a ton of money, so we are going to have to re-sign guys, even if we don't necessarily love them and they're not a part. You might not see them as like long-term options. They're gonna have to re-sign some people. They like are physically almost forced to. Obviously, not going to re-sign a ton of people, but I think they will definitely bring some guys back. Of our free agent linebackers, who would you re-sign? I would be interested to see Willie Gay back. I feel like they would like him in that system. Had an Oscar Delp as Mike. Yeah, I love Oscar Delp. He's one of my favorite tight ends in this class. I'm sold on Lee Hunter, so would love if he were there and say Miami gets down or south. Yeah, I just doubt Lee Hunter will be there. Boom, boom, boom. But yeah, I wanted to go through some names that I think Miami will like. Like, I know I just talked about Anthony Hill Jr. because he's like 6'3", 240, and I feel like he will have at least some good testing. I feel like they're going to like Anthony Hill Jr. out of Texas more than I will. I feel like that's a linebacker they could like. I would not be surprised if they end up being pretty high on him and taking him because he kind of fits, like, he's kind of a mix of like Quay Walker and Edgerrin Cooper, who are the Packers linebackers. He's got a little bit of those guys game to them, and it feels like they would be interested in taking him. Wouldn't take him before the third round, but I think he will go then. But that's a name I think to know. At the top, I think guys like Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles, they'll for sure like. Will they be willing to take non-premium, or will they even be on the board? Who knows? But I think those are guys that fit the scheme that Halfley would be like gladly to take. Same with Thieneman. I think Dylan Thieneman feels like an Evan Williams clone from the Packers. I feel like they would like him. Um, What's the beef with A Hill? I mean, I don't have beef with him. I just think he's a little overhyped. Like it see to me when it comes to players, like if consensus had Anthony Hill in like the third or fourth round, I'd be like, oh yeah, I like Anthony Hill. But since they have him as like a first, second rounder, I'd be like, oh, I'm not as high on Anthony Hill. To me, he's stiff, not very good in coverage, and struggles to shed blocks. And I think he's more of a linear athlete. And you see how he makes plays. I don't think the way he makes plays is more as like a gap shooter, and that doesn't always necessarily translate super well to the next level. Like you can make plays like that, but that can't be like the only way you make plays. You have to be kind of more multiple. He's a good blitzer. He's probably at his best as a blitzer, which is not necessarily a great thing either. It's nice to be a good blitzer, but it's probably not when it's your best thing as a linebacker. I think he's just solid. I think instincts, stiffness will, instincts are not bad. I think they're pretty good, but the stiffness, and I don't think he'll be making as many plays in coverage at the next level with the stiffness as well. That's sort of where I'm at with Anthony Hill. I think he's like a middle round player, and I've just seen people put him very high. Dun, dun, dun. Never sure, and it's because they're all 5'9" to 5'11" nickel type players. I'm hoping we draft really now. At corners? I mean, who at corner is 5'9" to 5'11" nickel type, other than Kohu, who didn't play last year? Eli Raridan. I like Raridan, yeah. Any shot Francis Mauigoa drops to us? And if he does, do we pull the trigger? I mean, I think there's a shot. I would guess unlikely, just because in this class, a lot of the top guys are non-premium position. So I think those premium position guys that play tackle and like edge rushers are gonna go pretty high. So I think Mauigoa, as long as some team at the top use him as a tackle, like he's gonna go. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, Michael. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, I would love Styles at 11. Okay, whoa. Okay, I just missed. If we trade down a few picks and Downer Styles there, I would take one of those two. They won't be there in a trade down because I don't even think they'll be there at 11. I feel like the NFL would be dumb to let them fall past 11. Because I'm going to be calling the Dolphins dumb if they're on the board and they don't take them. Depends on who they take, I guess. But okay. Ryder, so if the Rams decide to move on, would he be an option that you'd like to bring in? Stetson Bennett? Not really. I'm pretty sure there's been some negative reports about Bennett in his love for the game, and I don't think he's very good either. So we need sure tacklers or tackling last couple. I mean, yeah, I love taking tacklers. I think getting some DBs that are at least very willing tacklers is important. Also, guys that can make tackles, which there are a lot of safeties in this class. That's why, like, I think Genesis Smith, the Arizona safety, his tape is so good and would be one of the best safeties in this class if he just wasn't such an inconsistent tackler. Like, I would like him so much more. But there's a lot of safeties in this class with like a pretty good. They don't miss a lot of tackles. Be honest, when Indiana went for it on fourth down and Mendoza ran that touchdown, were you thinking about me? No, I was thinking about all the money I was gonna make from Mendoza going first overall. Because I bet on that before the season even happened. I think you have a weird obsession with me and Mendoza. But hey, got that at plus 6,000 odds. Sean Gary's down to free agent now. Thieneman or McNeil Warren, and why? Thanks. For Miami or in general? Because I think Miami is going to like Thieneman more. I don't know if Halfley, I haven't seen Halfley do the whole big nickel thing much. Like, he's had his safeties play nickel, but he hasn't had a McNeil Warren type like that yet. So it's tough to say. I'm trying to think. For me, I probably lean Thieneman a little bit, but they're both my guys. Like, I have them ring pretty close, but I think for Miami, I would guess Thieneman. I think he just fits the glove and like more of like the coverage rotational things that they like to do in like disguises, those exact roles with like dropping guys down and buzzing to like split field stuff. I think they're gonna prefer Thieneman in that type of role. Well, I think like McNeil Warren can do more of like the big nickel stuff. Realistically, where should we draft a line? Whenever it's best player available. But I do think like if you want a right tackle, you probably got to take one pretty early. I think you can probably still find a decent guard in round 3 if you really needed it. But yeah, I mean, if you want a starting O-lineman, you're probably gonna have to take one with one of those first 2 picks. Maybe you get lucky in round 3. It just depends. Dante Trader is exactly how you scouted at the time when we drafted him in your Maryland tape of box safety, the good tackle, good run defender, and a contained weak. Yeah. Yeah, he's not. I think I made the video on Trader yesterday. He's not like a deep middle of the field guy, but I do think Trader, who is someone that will probably see some more playing time this next year. Just if you look at the room, I feel like he fits their scheme that they're going to be running, at least trying to project them there. I don't know if he'll be one of the top 2, but I think he'll probably be like the 3rd safety, and they do like to play some 3 safety looks. Get him down in the box. He's a quality run defender. Talking about positional value, look at DP linebacker, Emin Ward at safety. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Schlesinger won Defensive Rookie of the Year. Schlesinger was so good. I loved me some Schlesinger. You kept on saying Simpson and Moore were better on tape the whole season. No. I said it at the start of the season. I thought their tape was potentially better. About midway through, Simpson's play fell off a cliff, and then it was pretty clear. I think Moore was going to return. I have not really watched the Iowa quarterback. Do you think Davison Igbinosun could play inside? Interesting. Honestly, when I watched this film, I wasn't really considering that. Maybe I'd have to rewatch it with that sort of in my mind with Igbinosun. And I was going to do more of a deep dive, but I do like I think they could be interested in his type because I think this is something like a lot of teams value. He's a lengthy guy that's competitive and he can run. Like he's got, I think, pretty good speed. I think that's what a lot of teams like at corner. They got some length, they're very competitive, and they can run. I think Igbinosun is sort of like a middle round guy that I think is going to be pretty solid. You think Thieneman will get to round 2? I honestly don't know. I think there's a chance of it. I'm pretty 50-50 on that one. Deep into it, and then when Simpson was obviously. I think the thing here you're like not understanding MMA fortune teller is I hadn't done any like those were all just like preliminary talks about. Like I hadn't done deep dive film on any of the quarterback class. It was more so just watching live, like wasn't my full give and take. Like, oh yeah, I just really like how Simpson's playing. Plus, I think Simpson's more of that scheme fit of what the Dolphins are running at the time. Honestly, I think they both were more scheme fits than what Mendoza's was doing, because Mendoza just I mean, I hate that Indiana offense. They literally Mendoza they just run RPO and back shoulder fades. I'm like, let's let him play the quarterback position. I was never giving anything set in stone. Have you looked at Stanford CB Colin Wright? I had a mock test. I have not watched him. Did you talk about Zion Young? I came in late for round 2. Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's go back to talking about players that I think Miami will like a lot, just based on scheme. Zion Young would be one. Zion Young, Danny Dennis Sutton, Derek Moore, Gabe Akis. I think bigger edges like that, or guys with at least pretty good size and athletic. I think athletic profiles. Like if you look at guys they've drafted early in Green Bay, it was Rashawn Gary, it was Lucas Van Ness. Now I don't know if those were the best options. I don't know if either has quite lived up to what they wanted them to be. Neither are bad, but neither quite lived up to what they wanted them to be. But I do think those are guys they will like at edge position. Talked about that. Corner, I think, is a little more open because in Green Bay they had all different types of corners. They are willing to draft. I think they will still like guys with some size and speed and stuff like that. But I think they were still playing guys out there that weren't the biggest. It's fine. So I think corner's a little more open. Right tackle, I wouldn't be surprised if they really like Spencer Fano from Utah. Let's put this on the record right now. I say Mendoza will be top 5 quarterback in the league within 3 years. Agree or disagree? I think Mendoza will be good, so I probably have him more in I think he'll be in the 12 to 10 range. So top 5 is pushing it. I don't think he has the elite traits to be top 5. I mean, he can have moments of being top 5, but I don't think he'll be a consistent top 5 quarterback. The guy that you might have said is this year's Upton Stout. I don't remember saying that. I think Upton Stout actually played pretty well for the Niners, right? Or he at least was playing. And he was one of those undersized corners. Thank you for admitting you were wrong about Mendoza. I mean, all I'll say is I don't think I've ever been wrong about Mendoza. We don't even know yet. He hasn't played a snap in the NFL. I've always thought he was going to be a good NFL quarterback. I don't know how I can be wrong about Mendoza when he hasn't played a single NFL snap. Dennis Sutton is not discussed enough in my. Will he make it to pick 75? Props not, right? I think he goes in that range, but edge does tend to get pushed up a little bit. Yeah, I feel like I don't know where he'll go. I mean, I would be down to take him there for sure. Ethan Bonner, Jack Jones. Need more size. I don't know. We need more dogs, to be honest. Hey, what website are you doing mocks on? I've done it on PFN. I don't know. I think size is just a little bit overrated in general when it comes to football players. Yeah, you need some size. Sometimes I feel like people are they just draft a player because he's bigger than another guy, and the other guy just ends up being better. Thoughts on Elgton Jenkins play? He'll be afraid of this, possibly. I mean, I haven't watched Elgton Jenkins in a while. He used to be very good. I don't know if he is still the same level player, but it literally just depends on price, I think, with a lot of the Packers' potential free agents. I think they even have a tight end who's a free agent, like Fitzpatrick. He's more of a run blocking tight end. I wonder if they'd be interested in bringing him in because he probably won't be. He'll probably be pretty cheap. I feel like it would be more guys like that. Yeah. I don't know. Oops, just clicked something, went to the wrong screen. Where am I? Okay. Oh my god, I gotta bring this all back up. Did I talk about that? Okay, any other players? Yeah, I think Spencer Fano at tackle, because if they're still running the same system, I think they're gonna want guys that can move. And like Fano would be a great fit in like that Shanahan style scheme, which is what Miami will be running, because some of his issues, most of Fano's issues stem in pass pro, but like you can protect a lot of his pass protection issues within the scheme. Like, and he's still like a better pass pro guy than what the Dolphins have had at right tackle. And then he's like a really good run blocker and like a weapon. Like he's a weapon in the run game at tackle, which is what the Dolphins need. So like I actually think Fano will be gone just on this class. Like those guys are going to get pushed up the tackles and edges. But he is someone like I could easily see being the pick at 11. Ian Acker's another one I think they'll like. I think Ian Acker's going to go pretty high. You think Rodriguez could be grabbed if he's in round 3? I don't know. I don't know if the Dolphins, like, just based on. Hold on, let me look up something real quick. Because Rodriguez is listed at 6'1", 235. And if you look at. Hold on, let me look at. I just don't know if they'd be willing to spend. Because they did play. Okay, so one of the linebackers for the Packers last year, Isaiah McDuffie, is 6'1", 227. But they obviously did not spend any premium on him. He was like I don't remember where he went in the draft, but he was like a later. But like he's smaller than Rodriguez, and he played like he was their third linebacker last year. But the guys they drafted early were Quay Walker and Edrin Cooper, and those guys are more like, like Quay Walker 6'4", 241, and Edrin Cooper is, let's see. Okay, Edrin Cooper 6'2", 230. So like, and they took him in the second round. So that's not that different from Rodriguez. So maybe they would be willing to take him in the third round. I would be willing to take him in the third round. Is Blake Miller round 2 a fit? Yes. I actually don't know if Blake Miller, like, I'm surprised more people aren't talking about Blake Miller. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes first round. Was the Sean Dolick of this draft any position? Oof. Trying to think. I don't know if I've watched enough. Guys. Might be one of those Navy guys. Landon Robinson or Eli. I didn't ever pronounce his name. The guy who plays every spot. You like Chase Besantis? Yes. His film is good. I'm not saying ignore talent in favor of size, but why can't we have both? I mean, yeah, you can have both. But when you are just asking for size, I'm going to push back on it. Because, like, I don't mind having, bigger guys that are also good as well. But sometimes I feel like it just becomes too much. Like, I just feel like people set too much of a precedent and they need this, and then they miss out on good players. Because there are some good corners in this class that are not the biggest. Most of the best corners in this class are like average size or below average size. Yeah, and most of the DBs you named are actually like above average size. And like I don't think safety needs I think like physical profile safety can be a little bit overrated. Corner, I think it makes more sense, but most of the Dolphins corners, other than Kohu, are like average to above average size wise. Yeah, I love Kyle Lewis. I just don't know. He is one that might be too small for Miami. But I love Kyle Lewis. I love his film. I would love to see him play as like a big nickel. Brian Parker. Parker played at Duke, so I was trying to think of someone from more of a Because Dolik was at Buffalo. I feel like, guy really falls on the radar. Do you like McCoy or Hood better, 11? McCoy, I think, is the better prospect. I think that's a little early for Hood. Just adding. There we go. Okay. But no, yeah, he might go top 5 for sure. I mean, I'll go through, like, literally, I'm looking at a PFF rankings list. So if we go through their names, so they have Mendoza up top. We're not going to even mention him because he's not going to be there. Then you have Ruben Bain. I would be down to take at 11. Don't think he'll be there. Arvell Reese. I think Arvell Reese really depends on where he ends up. Like, I could see him being a bust, but I could also see him being great. I think your defensive coordinator really needs to have a plan for him because I truly do think he is a tweener of a linebacker and an edge, but I would take him over a lot of guys at 11. I don't think he'll be there either, though. David Bailey, I'm hoping he's gone before 11. I don't know how interested Miami will be. He's not a bad player, but then we get to Downs, my top option at 11. They also have Jeremiah Love listed here. I wouldn't take Love at 11. I mean, he's a top 10 player, I think, in this class, but I think there's just going to be other guys I like more, and I think Love plays one of the only positions Miami has pretty much no early need at. Then you got the receivers, Tyson, Tate, Lemon. I would consider them at 11, but I don't think any of them will be my top options. Then you got Styles. Styles is probably my second option at 11, like realistically, after Downs. Jermod McCoy and Monsieur Delane, I would be down for at 11. Like, I would have no problems with that. I know McCoy is a little scary because of the injury, but I do think, like, just based off his 2024 film, like, he's a top 5 player in this class. So there's that sort of risky element to it, but I could get behind. And then Delane, I think, is just a really quality player. Then you got Maui Noah, Fano. I would take both at 11 very easily. Have no problems with that. And then outside of that, I'm going to probably have problems with some of the picks at 11. Like Keldrick Falk, I would have a problem with that. I don't think Falk is a bad player, by the way. I just would not take him at 11. I don't think he's really an edge, actually. I think he is like a 3-4 defensive end. He's like a 5-tech, 4-eye type of player. And I do think Miami will like him, though. And then I don't know of anyone else that would take it 11. I think everyone else would be more so trade back options. Yeah. Kyle Lewis, Big Nickel, Will Linebacker. Yeah. I actually think Big Nickel would be real nice. Like, realistically, like, I think he could do it. Getting me delusional, yeah. I don't know if Zion Young will make it to 43. I think the Senior Bowl will probably push him up. But I've also, I feel like I've heard people talk about maybe potential question marks outside of football, but I'm not too sure about that. I don't like Lemon because he's too small. I understand being kind of against taking us another small receiver, but Lemon is, oof. If there was a player in this class that I just like, if you're just like outside of Caleb Downs, if you like outside of Caleb Downs and Styles, if you were like, say a player that you bet is going to be a very good pro, I would bet on Makai. I just have a very good feeling he's going to be just good for many, many years. And I don't think he's that, like, he's not like super small. Let's see what he's listed at. I forget exactly. To me, he's receiver 1, but he's listed at 5'11", 195. That's not. Is Bane worth trading up for? Probably not. Probably not. At least not for me. Seems like that limits CV out both retention and new signing thoughts. Yeah, he definitely could give a better feel. Like they definitely like to play press, but they weren't like only in press team. It wasn't like they played a ton of man. Like they played some cover one, but it was like 18% or something like that. So I don't think it limits you too much. I actually think when you limit yourself to guys who are just good at press, those guys actually typically rarely work out because most teams don't just press every snap. But you need, I just think you need guys that are multiple. You need some players that are multiple. But it might make you look at guys like Colton Hood a little bit closer. Both Tennessee corners, McCoy, I think, is a good press guy. Julian Neal from Arkansas is a press guy. And then there's some other guys I think can do some press work. Yeah, Lemon's built like a running back. He's not the tallest, but 195 at 5'11 is pretty good. I just think he plays big. Like he's one of those guys that like he catches everything, man. Like he's got some of the best hands you'll ever see. He did also say multiple a lot. He did. Honestly, I feel like I only saw some quotes, so I didn't really look into it. But yeah, I just feel like with DBs nowadays, you do need guys that can do everything. Because when guys are very one note, like it's just not how most schemes are run anymore. That's why, like, but when you are on a team like old Seattle, like when Pete Carroll used to just run like the cover three, like that's all I ran was just like cover three, and you just needed to survive on a vertical plane. Like yeah, those guys could survive there, but when you saw some of those guys go to other teams and they ran different systems, those DBs did not play anywhere near to the same level because they didn't just run the same defensive look. They don't do that at most places. How do you feel about Bell? Or do you think he could be worth running? Bell? Talking about the Miami guy? I haven't really watched much of him. What are your thoughts on Michigan edge Derek Moore's predictions are anywhere from the third to a sixth? Honestly, I've seen him up to the second. I wouldn't take him in the second. Third, I could get behind a little bit. But I think he's just a one note kind of player. He pretty much does the same move over and over and over again, which is not like it's fine to be like only have a move or two, but you at least when you do your move, you have to do the move in slightly different variations. You have to be able to mix up your tempo or like your footwork, or you attack leverage differently on the plays. He literally does the exact same thing every single time. So Lemon is Amon-Ra St. Brown. Probably one of the better comparisons for him. I would say St. Brown's a good one. I've seen people say JSN. I don't think he's more like an in between of those two. He's not quite like either, but I think St. Brown is probably the most comparable one. Is good, but I think we'll re-sign Minka. Well, Minka's on the team, and even if you keep Minka, I would take Caleb Downs every day of the week because I don't think Minka's like one. They would both play every snap, and that's great, and it allows you to be super multiple. And two, Minka's not like a long-term player on the team, in my opinion. So, I don't know. Caleb Downs would be my easiest top option, whether Minka's here or not. Do they mean Skylar Bell? Chris Bell. Oh, that's the Bell you're talking about. I'm not that high on Chris Bell. I think he's kind of raw, and he's coming off of a big injury. So second round for me is would be a no. I think there's some good parts of his game, but I just think guys like that typically struggle to project well to the next level. Because to me, he's like who's a good comp. He's better than this guy, but he's kind of like that style of player. But it's Xavier Legette when he came out of South Carolina, and Legette has struggled to project the next level. I just think there's like a timing element that you need, where like he very much relies on like his athletic and physical tools. And then coming off of an ACL like that worries me. So I won't be as high on him as some people. Are you gonna do a Francis Malinot film breakdown? Probably not. I think there's just a ton out there. But I do think he can. I mean, I don't think he's like the ideal fit, but I think he moves at least enough to not be like super limited. He might be a better guard in this offense. I mean, Skylar Bell. I do like Skylar. Skylar Bell's good out of Connecticut. He's just. I think he's a little bit older. Yeah, he's 24, but he's one of he's those are the types of receivers that like the tracking, the hand fighting, the feel for the game. Like can play inside outside, makes those tough catches, body control, understands like how to throttle down, like manipulate tempo and leverage. Like that's what Makai Lemon's so good at the top. Even the other guys like Cardinal Tate, I think is pretty good at it. I think Tate's biggest weakness is maybe a lack of yak ability. And then Tyson, Tyson just injuries concern me up there, but right, you say the Finns draft Downs 11, you play him at free safety, Minka at slot CB or strong safety. Honestly, I might do it the other way because I think I would want Downs closer to the football, but I think they both could low key play like because they both are honestly better at like playing in that robber area of the field. Like they like to play rob, they like to buzz. Like that is something that they're fairly comfortable about. Um, but I don't know. I don't want to play Downs. I mean, Downs can play anywhere, but I do feel like playing him at like middle of the field free safety does kind of take away from his like impact. Because like look at all the best safeties right now. Most of the best safeties aren't even really playing safety. like like Nick Emmanwori doesn't play safety. He was like the best rookie safety. Kyle Hamilton, he barely plays actual safety. Like that's how I would use Caleb Downs. Now there are some safeties who are really good at actually playing safety, and you don't want to take them away from there. And like Downs can do that, but like he's really good at playing like as like almost as a nickel. Chance Ionacker makes it to 43. I would say fairly low. Like I'm not putting any money on that. Like I would guess like 5-10% at this point, especially because I imagine he's going to test well too. Yeah. Went about. Any other questions? Where are we? What? We're at the earliest part of February. We're about a month away, guys, from free agency starting. Isn't that crazy? I mean, I know free agency won't be super active this year, so I might not have as many videos to make, but we'll still do streams. We'll talk about it. I'm sure they're gonna have to sign some guys. Like I don't think they're gonna sign anyone major. Um, but like there needs to be people on the roster. So we'll at least break down guys that I expect to at least make the roster or at least fight for a roster spot when that rolls around. And then we'll have a better idea. And then also the re-signings will be important because they'll have to re-sign some people. Hopefully Dulcich. I think we'll get a better idea of what needs we'll need um, coming up to the draft too. What is the dream trade down from 11? Dream trade down. Let me look at the draft order. Are you saying like what's the dream like to what area and then like who to get? Hold on, let me look up the draft order real quick. That's actually crazy. That's how the season started. Where could we trade down to? I mean, I think trying to think what would be like an ideal trade down. That's why maybe I don't love a huge trade down because some of the guys do end up falling off the board. Dream team who has achievable picks. Okay, let's look. I just don't know where people are picking in later rounds because You know what? I do like I talked about this a little bit earlier, but I don't know. I feel like this draft could be seen as a little 2013-ish with some of the trade ups. I don't know if you're gonna get a ton, but I feel like trading into like the late teens and picking up a day 2 pick. I just don't know what these guys draft actually looks like. Let's click on someone. Let's click on Detroit. Let's see what they look like. Like they only have one day 2 picks. I don't know if they're gonna want to trade up. Get the Vikings. Vikings have 2 round 3 picks. You think you could get 49 if you trade back to 18? Yeah, and you take like a Ioane or something. I would be when we gets that, or like one of the corners fall. You take a corner or Ioane. I feel like that's possible. I'd be more willing to take Keldrick Falk in a trade back, but still wouldn't be super happy about it. How do you rank Malachi Lawrence as an edge in the draft? I like Malachi Lawrence. I probably am gonna have him in like a day 2 range. I'd be down to take him with like one of those round 3 picks. 45 days from free agency. Is it 45 days? Like, doesn't it free agents 2026 when isn't it like the 9th? I thought like the 9th is when like it kind of like opens up. Yeah, the March 9th is when the like that legal tampering thing happens. And it's the 6th in February. And February is a short month, so I don't think it's 45 days, right? I don't know how to say his name. Ahinaker. I've just decided that's how you say it. I'll look it up eventually. Some of these, I usually don't look it up until I'm about to make a video on someone. Because when I'm like when I'm doing a film breakdown, I'm like, okay, I should at least pronounce these guys' names right. And sometimes I've gotten that wrong because apparently people like reporters have gotten names wrong. Like go back to my first breakdown on Achan. Definitely was saying Achan. But yeah. Ihan Idanaker. You have an anchor? Okay. Think we're done for the day. Good job, everybody. We did it. Okay, yeah. Thank you guys for watching. I don't know what else is coming out. Probably have a draft film breakdown out tomorrow. I don't even know who it is. But I'll have just random videos out. Once we get closer to free agency, we'll do some stuff.